This is how I was able to create a $1 million sports betting business. I'm going to go through a little story from the beginning with you guys and tell you exactly how Linemaker Sports came about and how I was able to get it to a $1 million company. Well, let's start off first in the early years of myself. All right, so around 15, 16, 17 years old, I was already betting on sports. I was having my parents do it. I was having buddies that were older than me put in bets for me or whatnot. And here's the thing. Earlier on, I believed a lot of the stuff that was told to me on TV, parlay betting. I didn't know what a bankroll was. I didn't know what unit size was early on. I had no clue. I was just, taking pocket change and putting in parlays, hoping that it would end up hitting. So the thing is that I really fell in love with sports betting. It was like an addiction. So it kicked in. I really loved to bet on sports, watch the games. I would love to put in my parlay and then Sunday watch football all day. I would love to do that, just like a lot of people out there. But I would lose all the time. I was never really winning. Once in a while, I'd hit like a 3-teamer or 4-teamer, but most of the time I was losing. As I got older and older, I became, having more money, putting more money into it, starting investing more money, losing more money. I had to figure out exactly what was I doing that was wrong. And you can't really look anywhere. Even when you go out and research and try to look for a professional sports bettor and what did they do and how can you emulate what they did, there's really nobody out there that you could follow. There's an empty space in this industry for that. And there's nobody out there that teaches you anything. There's nobody out there that shows you exactly what you should do to be able to become profitable. Now, this is fast forwarding to about, 20 years old, almost 21. I started tracking all my stuff and just seeing that consistently losing over and over and over with certain things. But then there were certain things that I was winning at too. So there were a couple strategies that I was using that were winning, and then there was most of them that were losing. So I had to go through and kind of see, exactly which ones were working, which ones weren't. So I started logging all those in and being able to just decipher which ones were working and which ones weren't. So again, this takes years to do. So at this point, I'm not a professional sports bettor. I'm not doing it for a living. I'm still in the testing phase. So at the same time here, to make money, I have to work a job. So I end up working in construction, all right, which is, hard labor, especially out in Las Vegas where it gets to 120 degrees, 115 degrees, and that heat is just insane. Once I get involved in that, I realized right off the bat, this isn't for me. This is just not what I want to do. All right. Now I was able to stay in it for a couple of years because obviously you need a job. You need your initial investment money, which you're going to get from working. But you have to realize if you are working a job and you're not that person, you don't want that 9-to-5 job, manual labor or anything like that. Well, you have to work on yourself and that goal after you get done with your job. So you have to work hard, get off of your work, and then work more on yourself and the stuff that you want to do and what you want to accomplish. So I end up running into my buddy that is co-owner here in Linemaker Sports in the construction business. And he's telling me about how his aspirations are to do marketing and Amazon and stuff like that. And I said, listen, I've been doing sports betting for a minute. I finally figured out some strategies that work. Maybe we should put it together and we should help other people and show other people how to do that. And he was like, let's give it a shot. So again, we're both working construction. We didn't want to do that. That's not what our goal was in life. So what we did every single day was grind. After working outside manual labor, then we would work hard as hell on this business. All right. And in the beginning, nobody was watching our videos. Nobody was watching my videos. Nobody was clicking on any websites. Nobody was doing anything like that. We were getting no views on anything. You're getting nothing. Now, this is advice for those of you that are thinking about starting something. In the beginning, you're not going to have any traction on anything. Now, I see it as kind of the universe testing you to see if will you stick with it. Because a lot of people, they will give up after a couple months of no traction. Then they'll just go back to doing what they were doing. I feel like the universe tests you and is like, are you resilient enough to keep going? No matter what, just keep going. So I even had my doubts in the beginning. All right. The funny thing is that I had the strategies in place that were able to work and that were making me money in sports betting. But at the same time, nobody was watching any videos because of the stuff that I was preaching. Nobody really cared about. I wasn't out there talking about parlays. I wasn't talking about betting $10 to win 20,000 or anything like that. I was telling everybody exactly what I was doing, which was not exciting. All right. Single betting, winning a little bit of money here and there, not huge gains. So even myself, I became a little iffy. I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Maybe we should just cut it and go back to what we were doing, give up pretty much. I was at that point because we were working so hard and nothing was coming about from it. But he told me, he was like, listen, just stick with it. Let's just see what happens if we just keep going. So fast forward a couple months after that, we're still grinding. Every day I'm putting out videos, doing the best that I can to get out there to everybody. And then next thing you know, we start getting some views. So now that starts getting me excited because now, okay, people are watching our stuff. So then we're getting comments and whatnot and everything like that. So that kind of boosted me a little bit where I was like, oh, okay, let's keep going then. Let's keep going. This is pretty cool. And while while I'm still working a regular job. Mind you this. So as we're starting to get views on YouTube and Instagram and all that, all the social media outlets, what's the goal here? Like, what are we trying to do? And I told them straight, I was like, I'm trying to change the sports betting industry. All right. Because the industry is just filled with a bunch of people that want to just basically give you no advice on anything. They just want you to buy the picks, and then that's it. Most of the time you lose, but almost all these guys that are out there, you end up losing. So I was like, I want to change the industry. I want to be able to teach people. I want to show people that how you can actually become profitable and the journey that I went on, and take them on that same exact journey. So that way they understand that it's possible just as well as me, because I started from nothing, just like mostly everybody that's watching me. So if I was able to do it, I would like to show you guys that you are able to do it as well. So he totally agreed with that aspect. And I told him, I was like, we could do something big here, because there is nothing in this industry where you could look for help, even on YouTube or anything. So if we become those people, people are going to understand exactly what it is that I'm teaching them. And if they start to profit and they start to make money just like how I was doing, then, I've reached my goal, and I've showed them exactly what you need to do to become that high level sports bettor. Let's fast forward about a year after we get it going. We're getting some traction going. People are watching videos. People are clicking on the website. People start buying stuff. At the beginning, I didn't really know how to put together a coaching program and kind of teach people besides what I was doing on YouTube. So again, I became like one of those picks guys. I was like, well, I'll just give these guys picks. And then, I realized I'm becoming one of those picks guys. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to teach everybody. I'm not going to change the industry by just giving everybody picks. I'll change the industry by actually teaching people how to do this and how to bring this, to a certain level to where they're not losing, they're not developing problems anymore. You're not scared to tell your family that you've been on sports bets, because these are all problems that are in the industry that I wanted to break, because I want people to understand that you can have fun doing this. You can make money doing this. You don't have to hide it from people. You don't have to do anything like that. So I was like, let's figure out a way for me to teach people. So we kind of get together and figure out how to do kind of like a university type program. It's a schooling to where you would come in and you would learn from the beginning stages all the way to the advanced stages on exactly what you needed to do to become profitable and how to control your mind and get your mind right and everything like that. Because people don't understand that it's very important in sports betting is the mind game that's in there and your emotions. That's like 70% of the game. Because even if you win, but you don't have the right emotions and the right mindset, you can still blow everything and lose everything. So I was like, let's focus on that a little bit, so that way people that watch this stuff, they understand how important it is to get their mind right. We implement that into the company, the coaching stuff. Again, right off the bat, we don't get too many people going. Like, there's no traction. So again, you could feel a little dejected. Now, this is after about 7 months of the company being open. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe am I doing it wrong? Am I saying the wrong stuff? Do people not want to be coached? Do they just want picks? But then again, like I said, we just kept hammering at it. Next thing you know, we have somebody. Now people are starting to generate, and I'm able to teach them exactly what it is that I know. So now I'm getting the good feeling, because I'm like, this is working. I'm starting to reach that goal. Like, I'm changing people's lives. There's so many people that came to me and they had like gambling problems and sports betting problems, and I was able to solve it for them. That makes you feel good, and it just starts changing stuff. It starts to snowball. Next thing you know, me and my buddy, we look at each other and we're like, we're going to leave our job. That is a scary part, because when you're about to leave a job and a for sure paycheck to go to the unknown, and it's a leap that a lot of people don't want to take. Firsthand is very tough. I had second thoughts. I was like, should I quit? Should I not? Is this going to work out? What happens if the business fails and I'm not going to have any money? Then I'm going to have to go back to work again, and I don't want to do that. Well, it comes down to a point where I'm either going to take the leap or I'm not. I'm just going to go for it. So that's exactly what we did. Quit our jobs, and we were like, we're going to put everything we got into this, and let's just make it work. There's no giving up. As that happens, I'm very nervous. I got kids. I got a wife. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen here. I was like, I don't know, if we're going to make money going forward, if anything's going to lock up, or what's going to happen here. Funny thing is, all right, so as soon as this happens, COVID hits, and everybody knows sports completely shut down. There was nothing to bet on, really. So what happens there? I feel like an idiot. I can't believe this just happened. What am I supposed to do now? So in that time frame, which lasted almost a year, we could have just quit, but we didn't. What we did was we decided to perfect everything that we were working on. It gave us time to get away from the day-to-day grind of being able to having to put bets out and look at sports betting and everything like that, to be able to focus more on a company aspect and make the product better for everybody that was buying that product. So we took time out there to work on that rather than just give up. In my head, I was like, sports aren't going to be gone forever. Luckily, we made a little bit of money in the beginning to be able to float us in that time frame. But then sports come back. We start getting everybody signing up for coaching, picks, all that stuff. Everybody starts coming in. Things start flourishing, connecting with a lot lot of these people that are in the coaching program, working with them one-on-one. I'm changing these people's lives. Like, that was the goal from the beginning. And I'm feeling great and I made the right decision. But this goes back to what I said. If the universe believes that you're going to do it and you stick to it, then it's going to give you the benefits of that. I truly believe that, because most people, like I said, 90%, if not more, will give up in that time frame when they don't get instant gratification for what it is that they're doing. All right. And I'm 100% proof of that, because I was in the midst of giving up, but we stuck to it, and then it just started to work. People started coming in. I started to help more and more people, gaining more views on YouTube, more subscribers on YouTube. And then next thing you know, guys, we are flourishing. Then we fast forward. If you guys have followed the channel, you guys know this. Dr. Phil calls. Paramount Pictures reach out to us and they're like, oh, well, we'd like to have you on the show, because they thought they were going to pull me on the show and I was going to be like every other picks person that's out there and, you know, come out and preach stuff that is unobtainable. So a lot of you guys have seen, I went on Dr. Phil and they kind of shunned me a little bit because I was real, but it was a cool experience to be able to go on there, be able to represent sports betting. Now think of this in my mind. I was hammering nails in the Vegas heat, working construction. Next thing you know, I'm on Dr. Phil. How crazy is that? Look at what we actually created. Look at what we're doing. So from that, people see the Dr. Phil episode. They want to be more involved, obviously, because they know, like, I'm 100% real. I'm no joke. So at this point, we still are grinding. Got to continuously grind and continuously keep going. So we then reached a point to where we make a huge milestone, which is making $1 million as a business. And as you guys can see in the background, that plaque, maybe most of you are wondering what that plaque is that you see in my videos. You get a gold record when you reach $1 million in a company. It's a huge accomplishment because, like I said, we started it from absolutely nothing, just a dream pretty much. And over the years, we were able to put it all together and reach the goals that I wanted to reach, which were helping people, not just take their money and give them a pick. Now, there are certain people that just want that. They don't want me to preach to them. They don't want me to teach to them, which is fine, but it is what it is. Now, let's get to future goals here, because we're not done. This is just the beginning. I want to be able to leave my mark in the sports betting industry and change the sports betting industry forever. Whether that be holding conferences where we're selling out arenas and I'm able to teach all these sports bettors exactly how to do this the correct way or whatnot. That is what the goal is here. And also, this video is not just to tell you guys my story, but it's also to motivate you a little bit, because everybody that's watching, I was in your same exact predicament. I was able to start it from nothing and just not give up. If you don't give up and you just keep grinding, the universe will reward you and it will show you that this guy just does not quit. So you just keep going, you keep grinding, and it will eventually work. I promise you that. To wrap it up, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports, guys. Make sure you guys go and subscribe. It's very important, because 100,000 subscribers, we're giving $10,000 away. Could be you. I will catch you guys in the next video. Till then, I'm out.